Click, click.
Well, welcome to the COVID Collective.
Welcome to the COVID Collective. It is I, your friendly neighborhood midnight bard, and I'm joined today by everybody's favorite doctor, Dr.
Welcome
Dareinger.
to the COVID Collective. Dr. COVID.
Dr. COVID. Welcome, everybody. I don't think we have a lot of people viewing except for you and me.
That's fine.
That's fine. So, what have you been up to this week, Dareinger? You've had the Rona, and you are now getting better from that.
Well, the Rona was last week. This past week, I've actually been able to return to work, and it's been miserable because everyone in the lab has had COVID.
Yeah. Oh man, that's nightmarish. I'm lucky that I work from home so that this isn't a problem for me, but nevertheless, I'm never happy to be at work while sick. And whenever you're working from home, there's no excuse for you to miss work a lot of the time. You know, it's like, oh, you're sick? Well, that's cool, but you don't have to drive anywhere. You know, you don't have to leave your home. You could work from your PC, basically just drag yourself over to it. It's nightmarish.
You're already in quarantine. You don't have to re-quarantine if you're in quarantine.
Exactly. So everybody just kind of treats it like it's whatevs, which sucks because, you know, like there are a lot of times when I'm like, okay, I am legit sick, and they're like, cool story, bro. We don't really care that much.
Yeah, there's 8 of us that work in the lab. We have 3 people that go out and do field services. And then we have our 3 analysts, the manager, and the login personnel. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the one woman for login came in sick, got tested over like the New Year's weekend, and then didn't tell us that she was sick until 5 o'clock Monday afternoon when we were like closing. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm positive for COVID. I need to go home. And we were just like, you infected everybody. You literally infected the whole lab.
Oh, man. Like, whenever I first got hired on at my present job, I got hired on in the winter. My first day was the day after Christmas. It was December 26th. And this is back when we were heading into the office. A very small office, by the way. And just on like the 23rd, I got the flu real bad. But, you know, there's kind of like that stigma that you don't want to miss your first week of work at a new job, you know? So I decided to go in, and I ended up getting everybody sick. It was, it was a mess.
Yeah, I bet you were probably the like favorite person in the whole building at that point.
Everybody treated me like I was radioactive. Like
this woman was just like walking around all day coughing and hacking. It's like, you need to go home. You don't sound good.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, I'm fine. I just have asthma. It's like, asthma doesn't make you sound like that, my friend. Like, I know you have difficulty breathing, but asthma does not cause you to sound like that.
Yep, 100%.
And then lo and behold, it wasn't her asthma, it was COVID.
Oh, Lord have mercy. That's a mess, dude.
But we all survived, and that's the important thing.
I guess that is the important thing, is that everybody made it out all right. It's a lucky thing that it's not exactly, I don't know what it is about it, but it's not exactly as bad as the other one, I don't think. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Delta variant or whatever it is. The deadly one.
Yeah, the Delta variant was the bad one. The Omicron is like, it's so-so. It's got a scarier name, but it's not as bad.
The Omicron's one like, hey, have every symptom of the flu, but you're not having the flu.
Yeah, have every symptom of the flu, but it isn't the flu. It is a mess. It is so bad. But like I said, it's a huge relief that it doesn't seem to be as bad as the previous one was.
Yeah.
All the same, it still makes you feel like crap for like 2 solid weeks, which is disgusting.
My career as being a narrator is being put on hold, apparently, because I still don't have my voice back at 100%.
Agreed. And there was a couple of weeks where I couldn't do anything because of it, which is always fun. Just kind of sitting around wanting to have something to do, but having absolutely no way of doing it. Yeah.
And that's gotta get better. Gotta get my voice better so I can start narrating those recipes. Putting no-bake cookie recipes up on the tube for people to follow along with.
What's it called? What new cookies? What cookie recipes you doing here?
It's mainly no-bake cookies because my mommy said I'm not allowed to use the oven. So we've got chocolate no-bake cookies, and we've got peanut butter no-bake cookies, and we've got chocolate peanut butter no-bake cookies.
Okay, all of those sound delicious, and it's stuff that I want to. That's exciting.
Delicious and nutritious.
Delicious and nutritious.
We take a bunch of Flintstone vitamins and we just cram them all in there.
Oh, that'll take the nutrients up to a new level. So, have you been keeping up with like all the stuff that's been announced for Dimension Force and stuff like that?
Somewhat. I have seen some things for Dimension Force, but I have not seen. I guess the way I should put it is, I've seen a lot of things that have been announced and leaked for the next sets, but I don't remember which ones are which.
No, there seems to be a lot of. There seems to be a lot of weird stuff coming out. So, zombies are getting a lot of support in a lot of stuff. We got a whole slew of new zombie monsters, and one of them that was announced for Dimension Force this past week was the sarcophagus-looking one called Deathly Casket Sarcophagus, which is a level 4 with 0/0, and it's got 2 effects. One of them that says when this monster is destroyed by battle. By your opponent's monster, you can take control of your opponent's monster, then it becomes a zombie, and its attack and defense becomes 0, basically giving you a free body if you're willing to take... if at best, you bait them into attacking a set monster, and at worst, if you decide to just ram. Then you have the second effect, which says when your zombie monster is destroyed in battle by your opponent's monster while this card is in the graveyard, you can banish this card, take control of your opponent's monster, and then it becomes a zombie monster and its attack and defense becomes 0. So for that one, I think that's better, because that's you foolish burial it, and you kind of wait for your opponent to destroy something of yours, which is gonna happen throughout the course of a duel at some point or another, and then just basically take control of it.
Okay, yeah.
Fearsome has joined us.
The Dimension Force has the new Weather Painter stuff, as well as the dinosaur waifu archetype.
I love dinosaur waifu archetypes. I'm just saying.
I don't know why we have to have every type of monster card. I don't know why we have to have a waifu archetype around it.
Because
I'm
they
all
sell.
for it.
Because they sell. It's basically the reason.
The Dinophoria archetype is gonna be a pain in the ass for someone like Stormy who can't do math. But I don't know. I don't know why we need dinosaur waifus. We already have the Dino Wrestlers,
and we have. That's the opposite of Dino waifus, I think. because, dino waifus are pretty anime girls and dino wrestlers are buff anime dinosaurs.
I mean, Pancratops is my waifu, so...
Yeah, Pancratops. Welcome, Brother Gamma and Fearsome Hero. They both joined us in the chat.
Welcome.
We're happy to see you guys. We're discuss the new podcast format, the Nevermore Nerds. We discuss all things nerdy. So, tell us in the chat what your biggest nerd hype is.
Tell us in chat what your biggest waifu is, and
tell us in the chat who
you
your
harshly.
waifu is. Yes, tell us your favorite waifu, and we will talk about it. Monster waifu. What was I gonna say? Is
I think you were gonna say Dimension Forces, the set that has Flip Jar in it.
It does have Flip Jar in it. Hold on, I'm on YGO Pro Deck right now, just kind of like looking at all the releases. Fearsome says, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, but I'll be around. And I was like, okay. Waifus, it's like the anime characters that I don't know. How would you describe a waifu?
It's a beautiful anime girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would describe it as.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful anime girl that you definitely do not have a crush on.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes, that you definitely do not have a crush on. Who may or may not be dragons or dinosaurs.
Or like birds. Or
like birds. Yeah.
Exorcist people.
Like harpies are bird waifus, and what's it called? Dragon maids are dragon waifus, and what else we got? I don't know. Like, I guess Marincess are some type of weird.
They're the fish waifu.
They're the fish waifus.
All of the Marincess cards are just like they're named after fish, so
right.
They're the fish waifus.
Yeah, they're the fish waifus. Like Marincess got what's it called? Seahorse and blue slug and coral anemone.
Marble Rock is my waifu from that arcade. Just the one covered in spikes.
That sounds like my type as well. Gamma says, I don't know I was into this waifu, but I once saw her on a TikTok video and I was like, she's amazing. Which one are you talking about? Like, DM me, I'm interested to know. Fearsome says, I don't know what a waifu is. Oh, well,
No, she said, I know what a waifu is.
Oh, she says, I know what a waifu is. Okay.
She put 3 exclamation points, which means she's yelling at you.
Oh, I don't know. Like, I like it when waifus yell at me. I'm that kind of person.
Oh, so you're like the tsundere type person.
That's right.
You like the crazy girl with the knife that definitely isn't going to stab you.
Okay, so which one is the tsundere and which one is the yandere? Because the tsundere and the yandere, there's one that will never hurt you, but she pretends to be mean to you, and then there's the other one that sweet,
will hurt you.
But will hurt you if you push her. So like, which is which?
Tsundere is the one that will hurt you, if I remember correctly. And then yandere is the one that is like she'll act mean, but she's not actually going to be mean.
Okay, so I googled it. It's apparently the tsundere is the one that is tough and cold towards you, but it may potentially have a crush on you. So like that's the one that won't hurt you. The yandere, on the other hand, is the one that will end you. Fearsome says, I want to know too, Gamma, and then she tells me to hush, I guess, because I'm talking about liking yanderes or tsunderes. Which, speaking of, what is your favorite yandere or tsundere in anime?
Does Does Fluffle Dog count?
Absolutely, Fluffle Dog counts.
Um, let's see. I'm not really sure.
Neither am I, honestly, because, like, here's the thing. I never stop to classify them. You know, like...
Yeah, that's the problem I'm having right now. It's like, with what I've watched, I can't think of an anime where there's, like, a female character that's like, I'm going to kill you. Well, other than, I guess, maybe Sakura from Naruto.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, she is like, Yandere is crazy. Yandere will stab you. Very true. Sakura is a weird one in Naruto because she fits all of the tsundere archetype, but the problem is that that the execution falls apart because at one point there's just like a loss of interest and they in the main character, and he and her just end up being like really good friends. Yeah, so it's kind of a really weird deconstruction there, which, I love to see it. I love it when, when, what's it called? You subvert the expectations. Gamma says, Hellhound waifu. Oh, we must be talking about, what do you call it? Luna from Hell of a Boss. Are we right?
I was actually watching that before we started the stream.
Oh, really?
It was like episode 6. I was just got done, and I was like, why did they have to draw her like that?
Right.
I don't. If you have like a thing for that, it's fine. But it's just like, why would you do that?
I love how they call attention to that. What's it called? They call attention to that in one of the early episodes where they were, what was it? They were addressing, weird people on the internet.
She shouldn't like go up to the real world because there's like weirdos and stuff that would like look at her weird on the internet or something.
Right.
And they'll just like look towards the camera. It's like,
yeah, they all just like look towards the camera like, we know.
There's actually like a couple things in that show that it's just like really tiny details that you most likely missed, but when you go back, if you like see something and go back and watch it again, it's like I don't know, it's really good, the amount of like attention to detail that they put in, because there's like one part where Blitz is talking about how much he's like proud of Luna and everything, and like just watching it, she looks pissed off the whole time, but as soon as like the scene's moving on, like there's just that little smirk of I'm happy that he complimented me type thing.
Right. One thing, Fearsome, you just said, okay, I'ma find out who my waifu is. And here's the funny thing. I remember you're like super into Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Winry from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a tsundere. Because she acts cold and mean and kind of like aggressive towards the main character all the time. But in the end, they just end up together. Dexter says, nerds! Yeah, that's what this podcast is all about.
So who would you say your waifu is? We'll tune it back to just waifu, since the tsundere and yandere thing is it's hard to just come up with like people off the top of your head.
It kind of is true, right? It's really kind of hard to pinpoint something. Shoot, that's hard. I fall somewhere between Lara Croft and Mercy from Overwatch.
Now, see, I don't have a problem with Mercy because that was my like main when I played Overwatch back in like season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
Lara Croft. For whenever you say that, I just have like the original like PS1 version of her like stuck in my head. I'm like,
right. I don't know that I would say like the one from the PS1. I'm thinking like the new game from like 2013, you know, like the one for the PS4 where she's surviving on an island. Because here's the thing that I look for in a waifu is she's got to be smart and she's got to be tough. That's like my checklist. Is she smart? Is she tough? You know, I'm all for it. Dexter says Tsunade from Naruto is a pun on tsundere. Is she? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I could actually see that because Lady Tsunade is she I feel like she would actually fit that description
a little bit towards Jiraiya, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's kind of cold, kind of an asshole, but.
Gamma says, I forget the name of the anime, but the girl has pink hair and she wants to kill you. I think I know the one you're talking about. As a matter of fact, if you look up Yandere on Google, she's one of the ones that comes up. It's as a matter of fact, it's the first one on the what's it called, on the image search. Her name is Yuno Gasai, and she's from an anime called Future Diary. Like immediately when he says she has pink hair and wants to kill you, I'm like, I know the one he's talking about. Like that, she's a very popular one. Fearsome says, PS1 is what comes to mind. Yeah, everybody thinks of like Polygon Lara Croft.
I mean, that was the original Lara Croft.
That was the original, yeah.
Every like little boy who played Tomb Raider like fell in love with was PS1 Lara Croft. That or PS1 Hagrid. But that's a different story.
PS1 Hagrid, I remember that. Okay, so
I love that that's a meme. I love PS1 Hagrid.
So Gamma sent me the TikTok video that he mentioned earlier about the Hellhound waifu, and it looks like it's a Monster Musume thing.
If you want to pass that along to me, I could probably confirm that.
All right, let me go ahead and send that to you. That way you can confirm. I think I've seen this in Monster Musume before. I posted it right there in the general for you to check out. But yeah, the characters have cell phones that tell them the future. Is that not what Future Diary is? I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Sakai Isuno. It was serialized and Give me a synopsis here. Yes, jots down events on his cell phone. And capable of predicting the future up to 90 days. That's the exact one you're talking about.
I don't know if that's from Monster Musume or not. I will say that I now know that you've watched Monster Musume.
I have not. It's just I noticed that was one of the tags.
Oh, that's one of the... Oh.
Yeah, so it's actually the first one. No, that's the second tag. So I kind of figured that that's what it was.
Well, I'm not a degenerate, so I would not know. I have not watched that anime. What's Monster Musume even about? I don't know. Don't judge me.
Right. Gosh, what was I gonna say about Monster Musume? I know of it. I've never watched it though. And you know, your friend the Bard is a little bit of a degenerate. He's not all the way, you know, on the dark side, but you know, like I know things. I just, you know,
I was not aware of what I was getting myself into when I clicked on Monster Musume. I watched the whole thing, and I was like, I don't know how I should feel about this. But yeah, it's really good. It's really funny. Mm-hmm. It's something you really shouldn't watch with other people around.
Well, in all honesty, there's a lot of anime that you just cannot in good conscience just watch it in public, say for example, because it's over the top, so
yeah,
it's there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of like really weirdness, a lot of weirdness that goes on into it. The humor's really bizarre, and sometimes it can get kind of degenerate out of nowhere. Like for example, one of the most mainstream anime right now is My Hero Academia, right?
Yeah.
And there are episodes of My Hero that I could totally watch in public without any worry. But then there are other episodes where I'm like, I don't know about this, man.
Well, let's just take that I don't know about this man mentality and apply it to every single episode of Monster Musume.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can't watch that in public. I've known people who have, and I was just like, you have something wrong with you. But I'm looking at my like Crunchyroll list here, and it's like I would not watch any of these in public. Well, maybe Girls in Panzer, because that was that's just like an off the wall anime. But yeah, a lot of these are just like no.
Couple of things here. So Dexter pointed out in the chat that Tsunade from Naruto is actually an Uzumaki. I did not know that. I had to Google it right now just to verify. But yes, she one of her parents is an Uzumaki. That's interesting. So the entire time she was related to Naruto, and I had no clue. That's really cool.
Sasuke. Oh wait, no. Yeah, Naruto.
Yeah.
I was like, Sasuke's Uchiha.
Yeah, Sasuke is Uchiha. Yes, you're very correct. I think one of the first Hokages was an Uchiha, was he not?
I think so. I'm not too familiar with the like background story of Naruto, but I'm pretty sure like all of the main characters, like Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke, I believe all of them had like ancestors that were like higher up in the community.
Right. Fearsome says she'll be back. We'll miss you in the meantime. And Gamma says, I'm laughing when Dareinger said, pass it on to me and I'll confirm.
Yeah, that was not from Monster Musume. But
welcome to the Nevermore Nerds, where we will criticize your waifus.
To be fair, it wasn't a bad waifu.
Right.
It was very degenerate waifu. I mean, some of those pictures in that guy's TikTok were like, probably should have some more clothes on. It's getting cold out.
Well, I mean, she's a hellhound. She would be naturally generating heat, I would imagine.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
Right. What was I gonna say? Is something about.
Did you ever say what your wife was?
Me? Yeah, Lara Croft or Mercy from Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like smart or and tough, preferably both. Mercy checks out the smart. She's a doctor, and I mean tough. I guess also because getting shot at constantly, and just keep getting back up and keep on trucking has to be be a testament to something.
And she also has that pistol that she definitely uses more than she should.
Oh, you mean the pistol with the hitbox of a truck?
I just love like Blizzard was it Blizzard? Yeah, it was Blizzard.
Yeah, it was Blizzard.
I just love that they have like no concept of what a hitbox should be.
Right. Yes.
You have like Hanzo that literally is shooting like trees out of his bow.
Here's something that I gotta commend Blizzard on, and it's something that I found out, and I was like, that's impressive. Um, Hanzo can shoot an arrow in the air from his spawn point and arc it so that it lands on the enemy spawn point. But here's the thing. The enemy Genji can activate deflect and bounce it back to the original Hanzo. From the opposing spawn point, you know, like from the opening ones. I'm like, that's crazy that you could do that. Like that their engines in the game are so precise that you can do that.
So imagine being in like an old Call of Duty Modern Warfare lobby, and a fucking ballistic knife comes down on your spawn, and someone just like fucking throws it back, gets a headshot.
Oh, that'd be incredible. I'm like, that's crazy. I generally enjoy Overwatch. And sometimes it can get a little frustrating, you know, because there are times when the game queue feels like it's just it's matching you in weird ways, so that the enemy team is just always supremely more balanced than yours, you know.
That's the thing with most competitive games I've found is there's not a single competitive game out there that has good matchmaking to where it's going to be fair.
Right, and I feel like that's very true. Like the matchmaking in most games, it's just kind of like, it's a luck of the draw a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, like there are days when I'll log on and man, I am having a good time. But there are days where I log on and I'm like, I regret, I regret joining this queue.
It's like you queue up for your game one day and you'll have 16 wins, and the next day you'll have 30 losses.
Yes, and that's the kicker too. That you know, like a lot of the times I'll be like, all right, I just got off work. Let me unwind by playing some Overwatch, and I'm like, oh, this was a mistake.
Let me unwind by playing this nice, totally relaxing game. No, not allowed.
Not allowed. Not at all. What's it called? Gamma says he does not watch his anime in public, and I do not either. As a matter of fact, like whenever I was first getting into anime when I was in high school, it was hard for me to watch it when other people were awake, because you know, like you know, my parents would like sometimes walk by my door as I was watching anime, and they'd be like, have this look on their face. It's like, I don't know what this generation is, and it scares me.
It's there's some stuff that I would watch in public, but like I said earlier, the majority of stuff is no.
Yeah,
it's just a little too much for public eyes.
right. Like I don't know. I couldn't watch Uzaki-chan in public, even though it is like some of the most wholesome vanilla content.
Challenge for you.
Yeah.
Go to a coffee shop with your laptop and or like a smartphone or something that has Wi-Fi, and watch Kaijo with the sound on.
I don't know that one. Which one's that one?
It is a... Well, here, I'll just read the synopsis to you.
Oh, yeah, hit me with that synopsis, baby.
It's Nozomi Kaminashi's name, of course, is a fantastic gymnastic, and in order to help her family out with poverty, she's decided to become a competitor in a new women's-only sport, Kaijo. A lucrative endeavor, Kaijo is a popular gambling sport where female players stand on floating platforms in the water and must push the other player off by using their button.
God, I know this one. I know this one because it came up as a meme on TikTok.
It is the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it is also something that I don't even feel safe watching it at home alone.
Right. Like, like the moment you queue it up on Crunchyroll, you're on some watch list somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another character that's messed up, which you gotta wonder if she's a tsundere or yandere, is the other female protagonist of Dead Tube. I never heard of that anime. What is that? Book by Mikoto Yamaguchi. Oh wait, I know this one. I know a lot of these anime because I see them on those lists of like, oh, top 10 crazy anime you've never heard about. But there's like so not mainstream that that you just kind of don't hear about it beyond that,
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like DeadTube is a weird one. I think like it's a what's it called, YouTuber kind of like horror type thing where she goes around like, and she's like a serial killer and goes around posting it on a video sharing site or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and what's it called? It kind of the person, like her cameraman is kind of like, I don't know how to feel about all this, but I'm too deep into it to get out of it. I'm seeing the animated gifs you're sending me, and the gate of booty lawn has me laugh.
That was like one of the first episodes. This girl's just able to open up thousands of portals and steal other girls' butts.
Oh my god.
Then they had like this like really big girl, and they did an Attack on Titan reference for her special move.
That's hilarious. Anime's crazy, man.
The show is, you gotta watch it in public.
Okay, we will do the challenge. The Bard will watch this butt anime in a coffee shop with no headphones. See how long it takes for somebody to say something.
I'm almost afraid for you because you live in Texas. And
that's true.
People down there, they kind of tough, rugged people.
True. Konosuba. I know Konosuba.
That is a great anime.
Yeah.
Darkness is the best waifu.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can make an argument for, like, almost anyone in Konosuba. Darkness is great. I almost find Aqua's uselessness very endearing. But, I don't know.
Well, it's, when I was telling a friend about Konosuba, they were asking, like, what's it about? And I just said, imagine the world's worst D&D party.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Basically, yes. 100%. This is like the world's worst D&D party.
Like, none of the characters in that show are useful.
Correct. And it's just kind of hilarious because whenever your D&D party is just that terrible, it ceases to be anything but just like a straight up comedy.
But it works, is the thing.
Yeah.
They work.
Yeah, 100%.
And,
like, I would almost say that Konosuba is the polar opposite of Goblin Slayer. Whereas Goblin Slayer is like very hardcore, like, yes, this is like, a dark D&D story. Konosuba is like the opposite. Like, this is... So one of them's like, this is how D&D is supposed to be, and the other one's like, this is what D&D normally is.
This is how you play D&D. This is how you play D&D with your friends.
Right.
Gotta make a wizard that is really strong, guys, but it only knows one spell. And can only cast that one spell once a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Megamine's fucking amazing.
Yes, very true. Konosuba is hilarious. Is a manga. What is a manga?
What's manga?
A lot of
that
things.
Is
a lot of things are a manga.
Among Us. Do.
Among Us. Oh, that's great. But it is a good time, Konosuba. I there's a lot that are on my watch list right now where I'm like I should get around to watching them, because I mean, like, I keep telling myself I'm gonna watch The Rising of the Shield Hero, but I haven't even started.
Now the question is, is Girls und Panzer on your watch list?
Let me pull that up. See, no, it isn't. What is this?
It is a powerful tank battle has been created by an inevitable. I can't read. It's an anime about schoolgirls that drive tanks and shoot each other with tanks.
That is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard.
It is something that only Japan could think of.
They seem to think up a lot of these things. I'm almost convinced that you could do a Mad Lib and find an anime that fits it to a T.
Every school has a quote tank club. they have to. Their girls are expected to have quote tank skills.
God help me. That is wow. It is beautiful, is what it is.
It is Japan. It is the essence of Japan.
You know what's weird is we say that, but the thing about it is that, like, Japanese culture is almost the exact opposite of what you would see in anime, because anime is like so over the top, but like they're very reserved as a people, you know? Like, as a matter of fact, a lot of the times what I hear from people who have traveled there is like, oh yeah, you can't, if you've ever seen anime, like, the people are nothing like that. You know, as a matter of fact, they will think of you as weird if you even, like, act a little bit like that, you know?
Now hold up. Mm-hmm. You're telling me if I go to Japan, I can't go to one of their schools and join a tank club?
No. Or maybe, who knows? I mean, like, I don't live there. I don't know what they're like. Helix says, what we playing? Right now, we are the Nevermore Nerds Podcast, and we discuss all things nerdy, from our favorite card games to our favorite animes. So tell us, Helix, who's your waifu? I'm dying to know.
And then we just don't say anything until they respond. And we just
don't speak until he responds, yes. I need to know. Like, I will not survive to the end of this day if I don't find out.
Just the heavy breathing cat. Just sitting here, like, waiting.
Now Gamma says, the Lich is my favorite and dear to my heart. Keijo, and there's a I never thought of that, but I cannot see it on Konosuba. Okay, so he's talking about, like, Konosuba. Yes, it's really weird, but it's almost like what's it called? As if a D&D party is just really bad at what they're supposed to do, which is absolutely hilarious. Now that I think about it, is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Falls along the same line for anime titles, right?
I believe it's an isekai. I'm not too familiar with that one, but
is Konosuba not an isekai?
Yeah, Konosuba is an isekai. Isekais are where someone dies and then wakes up in a new world, which Konosuba starts off by him getting. Well, he almost gets hit by a tractor or a slow-moving truck. I don't remember. But he has, like, a heart attack and pees himself and dies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that's how that worked. So, real quick, did this, because, you know, like, as anime, that's been a genre that's kind of been overdone in the past couple of years. However, if that were to happen in real life, I would think that would be a lot of fun. So let's post the question to everyone in the chat, and I'd also love to hear what you have to say, Dareinger. Say you get run over by a tractor today and you get isekai'd. What world would you want to end up in?
So, when going to this new world, do we keep like our current abilities, or do we gain abilities based on the world we get put into?
I like it whenever you gain abilities, but you don't gain them all at once. So let's say you start off like a level 1 scrub in the world that you end up in.
Okay. This is going to be very stupid of me, but I would like to probably go to either the Dota 2 or the League of Legends universe.
Interesting. Okay.
Just like the places in those two universes, they just seem like they'd be fun to explore. Like one of the places in Dota that has always interested me is the Fields of Unending Battle, where corpses don't like decay and the dead walk the battlefield forever, and that's where the butcher lives, and it just seems like it'd be fun.
Yeah,
but stupid.
I think League of Legends would be fun. Like a lot of their lore is really, really rich, and I think it's actually really cool. But I don't know that a lot of it comes across in their gameplay. A lot of the times you have to kind of like look at their supplemental content, But yeah. They do have a really fleshed out world, and I think that would actually be a lot of fun. Helix says Cultivation World, so he can be an immortal. Apparently, Cultivation World is a novel from the Avalon of Five Elements series. So that's not one that I'm very familiar with, but if I'm not mistaken, that's a long-running series. Gamma says 7 Mortal Sins. I need to finish. So he might need to finish the 7 Deadly Sins, or I don't know if he's trying to tell us that he would love to be in the world of the 7 Deadly Sins. Me personally, I love Pokemon, so I would love to be isekai'd into the Pokemon world. I think that would be really, really cool.
Which region?
Oh gosh, probably like the Hoenn region. That's just been my favorite. Like Ruby and Sapphire has been my favorite one, hands down. If not the Pokemon world, then probably something where I'd be able to use magic. So like, I want to say probably like Fairy Tail. Like, I kind of like their magic system. Yeah. Plus, I mean, it's written by Hiro Mashima, which means that as long as I'm a hero guy, I will never ever die ever, because Hiro Mashima does not like to kill his characters. Like, if you think a character is dead, give him 20 chapters. He'll be back.
I hate when anime does that. If you kill a character, keep them killed. Or, like, if you really gotta bring them back for something, make them a ghost.
Yeah, like a Force ghost.
Don't bring a character back and just, like, leave them there.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind for that is Fullmetal Alchemist, which, if a character died and you saw it happen, that character's not coming back. Like,
well, for me, it's Zane Truesdale.
Oh God!
The guy has a fucking heart attack and dies, and then the next season he washes up on the beach. He's fine.
Yeah. Anime is not the only option, Gamma. If you like basically any world, hit me with the one that you would love to be isekai'd into.
Yeah, my world that I chose was video game world.
Yeah. Helix asked about yesterday's tournament. I did compete in a Yu-Gi-Oh thing yesterday. I was playing.
Did you win?
No. Why is that the first thing everyone asks?
Because it's the only thing that matters, right? Either what has it go? You're either first place or you're last.
Well, I was last a lot.
Oh.
I was playing Paleo Frogs, and I was thinking that, yeah, like, I could do, like, a control type situation. And, oh, Lord, no, that was a mistake, because everybody was playing Sword Soul, and I was not prepared.
You gotta play Token Collector.
Yeah, you gotta play Token Collector. I didn't think that because here's the thing, like everybody said, whenever I was looking in the chat, everyone was like, yeah, just like bring your favorite deck, So
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, okay, so we're just playing fun decks, right? We're playing like rogue options, just like, not tier 1 things. So when several people showed up with Sword Soul, I was like, oh no.
I thought this was supposed to be fun times, not sad times.
I know, like I'm sad now, and like I don't know, because like I did have like the instinct kind of like the pull to take Tri Brigade, because Tri Brigade does really well a lot of the times, and a lot of the things that it would lose against, it's really easy to side for.
Yeah.
But I was like, nah, like every time I play Tri Brigade, people don't even try. They're just kind of like scoop,
Yeah.
But like when I showed up and everyone was like, Sword Soul, I was like, oh, this is a mess. Oh, this is bad.
And I regret showing up today.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. We had like a prize pool, which was like a box of cards from Brothers of Legend. So I was like, oh, that would be fun to get. Nah, didn't happen. Let's see. Gamma says, the thing is, do I get reborn as the MC or just as a reg? I'm going to leave that up to you. I did, for myself, I kind of put myself in the situation where I could just be a reg. So, like, in the Pokemon world, anybody can be a Pokemon trainer. And, anyone can be a good Pokemon trainer, really. And in Fairy Tail, anyone can use magic. Whether you're using good magic or not, I actually don't know how that works. A lot of people use weird magic. I think in Fairy Tail, as long as you can like explain it and it kind of makes sense, that's your magic.
I'll go further than that and say, if you want, you can be the villain.
Yeah, be a villain in your own fantasy world. But what villain would you like to be? I think being the villain in a Pokemon world would be hilarious, because you just have like a gang of like thugs that all dress the same. And like none of them are really like very competent. A lot of them are just so-so, and your admins, which are like the top tier people in your team, are also not great.
You gotta be Giovanni from the original Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, like, the only thing about him is that he used ground types a lot of the time. So, I mean, like, it was just, like, if you started with Venusaur or Blastoise, I mean, he was cakewalk.
That was the, like, original plot twist was, here you are going, fighting through the gyms, you get to the last gym in, like, the original games, and it's fucking Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, is the gym leader. It's like, okay.
That was really crazy. And here's the thing, too, is that, what do you call it? It wasn't even the last gym, because when you think about it, it's in Viridian City. So it technically is the first gym that you see, but it's closed at the time.
Yeah.
And you, the thing is, you go so far that by the time it's time for the 8th gym, I had forgotten that it was even there. I had to like ask people. I was like, "Hey, where's the last gym? I got my 7 badges, but I can't find the 8th one." And somebody was like, "It's in Viridian City," and I was like, "Really?"
It's just like you can't really look it up on the internet, because the internet doesn't really exist.
Yeah, back then there was no such thing. I mean, there was the internet. It's just like it was really slow. You had dial-up and stuff. Gamma says, "Did I have fun in the tournament?" Yes and no. I mean, like, there was a couple of pairings where I was like, okay, this is a little more level, so I'm having fun right now. the thing is, whenever you fight against like the tier 1 decks, a lot of the times they can be so oppressive that unless you're specifically built to fight them, you don't get to do a lot. So whenever I went up against the Sword Soul guys, it wasn't like that I wasn't having fun. It's just like I didn't really get to play.
You don't like watching them summon Moyi, and then they get their tuner token, and they synchro into Lafleur, and they summon out Mo Yang, and get a tuner token, and go into...
I hate so much that Moye is a free level 8 synchro. Like,
yeah,
that is so frustrating to me. I'm like, wow.
This the first time I played against Sword Soul, the guy went Moye into, like, I think it was either Lafleur or whatever. They're like Chi Chao maybe.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is kind of bullshit.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to reveal a card from your hand, get a special summon, and then get a free token that is also a tuner that gives you a free level 8 synchro.
Yeah, it is so dumb, and I hate it so much. But like, that's just the nature of the beast when you get down to it. Like every new Yu-Gi-Oh archetype is great until it isn't. So like it's frustrating to deal with right now, but whatever comes next is just gonna like walk circles around it, really.
But that's the thing too, is like because we were talking about grand creators earlier before the stream. Is Punk going to be the next big thing? Is Exo Sisters going to be the next big thing?
Yeah.
Are we going to have to wait for like another set?
You're right about that. You're right, because what's it called? A lot of the times you don't know what's going to be good until people start playing. And a lot of the times, sometimes something will come out and it'll be nothing until it gets its first round of support, which the first round of support breaks it, The one that comes to mind is, like, I've been playing Tri-Brigade basically since day one, But Tri-Brigade didn't really get that much traction with Virtual World just, like, kind of taking off out of Phantom Rage,
Yeah.
But, like, it whenever, like... what's it called? Virtual World got hit with like VFD being gone. All of a sudden, people started looking and they're like, "Hey, you know what? This Tri-Brigade with Liverlusk is crazy." Like it only takes that first guy to figure out how to make it broken, and then it takes off.
Well, it's with a lot of the stuff. It's like you can see the potential behind it whenever it's announced.
Right.
But it's just, like you said, it takes that first round of support to actually do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when War Rocks were first announced, like, just the name of War Rock. It's like, this is a new rock archetype.
And they're all warriors for some reason.
and then, yeah, they were all Earth warriors, and they were revolving around battle, like the battle phase. And not only is the battle phase like the worst phase, but it's just why?
Yeah.
Why are they not rocks?
There's a reason I don't pull out my Gladiator Beast very frequently, and that's because it's very battle phase centric. And I'm like, that's That was fine a couple of like a decade ago. Right now, it's you kind of want to do most of your fighting in your main phases.
Yeah, it's like battle phase is so bad, and they made the whole archetype revolve around it. So it's just like all that hype, and you just let us down.
For sure. And I remember when they they revealed Reinforcement of the Army's Troops. And I was like, okay, so Reinforcement of the Army is a great card. Reinforcement of the Army's Troops looks like it should have synergy with War Rocks. But the synergy is so bad, that it's just like, God, I hate this.
They should have been rock types.
They should have been rock types, 100%.
They should have been rocks.
Gamma says 666 Satan or Defense Devil being the worlds I could isekai to, leaning more towards part hunter or the main character. Okay, so yeah, I think I've heard of those, but again, it's like one of those things where you see TikTok videos about them and you can't remember the premise or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to look it up real quick because we're heading into the 1 hour mark on this. I kind of wanted to do a deck profile for like the viewers out there. You guys could see how your bard gets down with the Yugi mans, and Dareinger here will be my 100% very supportive critic for my deck build.
100% support.
100% support. So
absolutely no criticisms against.
Right. So let's we're gonna move over to the camera here, and this is we're on the Nevermore Collective, so I figure crows, ravens, things like that. This is my Blackwing deck profile, and let me kind of work the light here so that it doesn't look so terrible, because there's gonna
be Stormy's roommate. I'm gonna have to have him watch this and comment on everything that you've got going wrong.
Okay.
Everything you've got going right.
So Blackwings is one of those archetypes that precisely like what Sword Soul is right now, that back when it first came out, it was big because it was just very powerful. And it was one of my first decks that I built. I have a lot of fun with this deck. I think this deck is really good. It hasn't been good in a while because a lot of the things have power crept it. However, in the Sexal era of Yu-Gi-Oh!, we got things like Raid Raptors and Phantom Knights, which play really well with this deck. Kind of give it a little bit of a higher ceiling, give it options for other things that it can do. So I kind of did that with it. So, let me start this off in a way that I think will be hilarious. Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Midnight Bard, and today we're doing a Blackwing deck profile. So, this is a really awesome deck because it's full of nostalgic monsters and, just really, really fun, has a bunch of really cool combos. So, without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So...
I knew you were going to do the Dark Arm Duelist intro.
Right. So first things first. I knew that you knew, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. But hold on, we're still getting some glare, so let me real quick turn off the light and see if I can fix that. Okay, that looks a little better. So first, we're going to be playing 3 Blackwing Simoon the Poison Wind. And the cool thing about Simoon is that he is a searcher that searches, Black Whirlwind, which is one of your main cards that you want to see on the field. Black Whirlwind allows you to add a Blackwing from deck to hand after a Blackwing's been normal summoned that has less attack points than the one that you just normal summoned. And the cool thing is that Simoon the Poison Wind will put Black Whirlwind onto the field, and then he'll normal summon himself. You will take some burn damage after you activate him. So, you'll take 1,000 during the end phase. But you know what they say, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Well, this bird puts the Black Whirlwind onto the field, normal summons himself, and then adds another Blackwing to your hand. So there's your bird in the hand. And the thing is, since he normal summons himself with his effect, you can actually normal summon the other Blackwing that you added to hand, and repeat the process once more. So that's 2 searches off of just putting your Simoon on the field, which sets you up for your combos really well.
I thought you were gonna say which is the bush.
Yeah, which is the bush. It is the bush. Hold on, let me. Nope. Yeah.
I feel like you've like got a script written out for this.
I do not. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these cards, I am not going to remember what they do off the top of my head because I'm one of those people that has to read his cards constantly. So right now we're just going with it, but I promise you I won't remember. So yeah, Simoon the Poison Wind, definitely a great play starter for the deck. Definitely one that you want to have in your deck at 3. Some people don't run them at 3. I think that 3 is probably the best way to run them. Next up, we are running 3 copies of Blackwing, Chris the Crack of Dawn. Chris the Crack of Dawn, once per turn, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is just, good protection to have. Let me see. And additionally, one of the other things that can that makes him such a good card to have is that if you have another Blackwing on the field, you can special summon him from your hand. Now, unlike the first round of Blackwings that came out, which was like Gail the Whirlwind and Bora the Spear and them, this is a once per turn. Bora the Spear and Gale the Whirlwind do not have those limitations. You can special summon them as many times as you want, provided that you have a Blackwing with a different name on the field. So, I think Konami learned real quick, oh, wow, we can't do that. We better put some once per turns on these things. But, yeah, Chris the Crack of Dawn is a free body. You can get into your Synchro plays. You can get into your Xyz plays really easily with him. So, just a really good one to have at 3. Next up, we have 3 copies of Blackwing Bora the Spear. One of the ones that I mentioned, one of the original Blackwings, has the capacity to special summon himself as long as you have a Blackwing of a different name on the field. And additionally, Bora the Spear has a cool effect that, I think I'm sorry, I'm thinking of like the old combo. He does piercing battle damage if he destroys something on the field that's in defense position, which is nice to have, not what you're going to be using him for a lot of the time. Back in the day, they had Blackwing Sirocco the Dawn, which is a level 5 that can normal summon himself. I think if your opponent had a monster and you didn't, which the cool thing with him is that Sirocco the Dawn could add the attack points of all monsters to one Blackwing that you control, and as the only catch was that only that Blackwing could attack that turn. So a lot of the times, if your opponent put something in defense position, you would normal summon Sirocco, you would special summon a Bora the Spear, you would special summon a Gale the Whirlwind, and if you had more than one copy of either of those, you would do that too. And then you'd activate Sirocco and add all of the attack to one of the Bora the Spears and then just attack for massive damage into a defense position monster. That's been power crept, like we mentioned. The battle phase isn't something that we really mess around with a lot. So Bora the Spear doesn't get its effect out a lot of the time, but it is something that's there in case you want to use it. Or in case the situation comes up. Next up, I'm playing 1 copy of the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. Stained Greaves kind of gets overlooked a lot because, he's no Ancient Cloak, he's no Silent Boots. He a lot of the times doesn't seem like he has a lot of functionality in the deck. But what I like about him is that he can put a Phantom Knight in the graveyard and he can level modulate. So a lot of your Phantom Knights monsters are going to be level 3s, which doesn't really help you out with your rank 4s that you're going to be running in the extra deck. However, Stained Greaves allows you to level modulate himself or level modulate another Phantom Knight that's in that you special summon off of his effect, which allow me to make sure, just read it real quick. If a Phantom Knight's monster is special summoned to your field except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, then you can increase the level of this card by 1. You can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon it, or to special summon 1 Phantom Knight's monster from your hand, except the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves, then you can increase its level by 1. You can only use this effect once per turn. So yeah, Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves, really cool in that, he allows you to do that level modulation so that you can go into your rank 4s a lot more easily. So, but, the thing is, I kind of don't like to run more than one of him since he's kind of a one-of effect. So I think that at 1, he's fine. And on top of that, he's searchable. So, 1 is probably the best way to do it. Next up, we got 1 copy of Blackwing Sephiroth the Elite. So the cool thing about Sephiroth is that he has a once per duel effect that if this card is in your graveyard, you can return one face-up card you control to the hand and special summon this card. And if you do take 400 damage, then you can but you can only use this effect once per duel. So a once per duel effect is kind of like this is if this is a best 2 out of 3, you can do this once. But here's the thing, though. It does come in handy a lot of the times because a free body is a free body, and you can do a lot of crazy things with it, provided that, you do it at the right time. It'll put you in a good place for your Link plays. It'll put you in a good place for your Xyz plays. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if, say, for example, you overlay into something using Sephiroth, then his banishment when he leaves the field doesn't count anymore, right? He goes straight to the graveyard?
Yes.
Okay, so you have that option.
Yeah, if you Xyz summon, he is no longer affected by his special summon condition. So if you use him, if you detach Zephyros as a Xyz material, he would go back to the graveyard and you could use his effect again.
Derek Weber Scary Stories says he likes the Nevermore and he likes scary stuff. What is this magical place? Welcome to Nevermore Nerds, sir. This is where we discuss all things anime, comic books, movies, and our favorite card game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Presently doing a deck profile on my Blackwing deck that I run for fun. But yeah, Sephiroth's the elite, dude. Like, really good. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Oster, the South Wind. And Oster, the South Wind is a level 4 tuner. So you can go into level 8s really easily using Oster. You can go into a level 10 if you search Oster off of the Black Whirlwind with Samoon the Poison Wind, which would be your Blackwing Full Armor Master. So super easy to go into Blackwing Full Armor Master in this deck. Provided that you open with a Samoon the Poison Wind, which is why I was like, it's best to run him at 3. A lot of people say that 3 is not necessary. I prefer to do it that way. Oster being your level 4 tuner, which would put you at a level 10 real easily. And what Oster says is, cannot be special summoned, so he can only be normal summoned. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower Blackwing monsters, special summon it in defense position. You can banish this card from the graveyard to activate one of the following effects. Place 1 Black Feather counter on a Blackwing dragon you control, equal to the number of cards your opponent controls. Or place 1 Wedge counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls that does not have one. So a couple of cool things about this. So when normal summon, you can special summon one of your banished level 4 or lower Blackwing monsters. So if Sephiroth the Elite has banished himself by his effect, Oster can bring him back to the field. And then you can, and then you can synchro off into a level 8, which is cool. Another thing is the wedge, the Black Feather counter, you don't really run into that much. Blackwing Dragon isn't really great. But Blackwing Full Armor Master runs off wedge counters. And he's allowed to take control of something that has a wedge counter on him. So if you put a wedge counter on everything that does not have one using Oster's effect, you're just already set up for that. Whenever you go into Full Armor Master, bada boom, you can take control of something that your opponent controls for free. So let's see. Next up, we have one copy of Raid Raptor Strangulanius. And Raid Raptor Strangulanius is cool because it's a free body. If you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. But you also cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except for dark monsters, which is not a big deal. All of your Blackwings are going to be dark. All of your Raid Raptors are going to be dark. All of your Phantom Knights are going to be dark. So you can still special summon all of those since it's not going to be a limitation. If you control an Xyz monster with a dark Xyz monster as material, you can target one level 4 or lower Raid Raptor monster in your graveyard except this one and special summon it. But its effects are negated, and you can only use the effect of Raid Raptor Strangulanius once per turn. So the cool thing about that is that's an extender. If you control an Xyz monster with a dark Xyz monster as material, which most of the time it will be, bada bing, bada boom, grab yourself something out of the graveyard. Its effects are negated, but that doesn't prevent you from going into a couple of like Xyz plays, Link plays, and all that. So really good, free extension. It's a free body. Perfect. I like the way this works. Next up, we got one copy of Raider's Wing. Raider's Wing says, this card is always treated as the Phantom Knights or a Raid Raptor card. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can detach one material from your Dark Xyz monster and special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect once per turn. An Xyz monster whose original attribute is Dark and has this card as material gains the effect. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. So, can special summon itself, which is free extension, and additionally, it gives an additional effect to your Xyz monster that has it as material, which a lot of the times you'll go into something small and then you'll start ranking up. So it's not unheard of that you can end up on something, on a big Xyz monster with this as material, and then it won't be able to be targeted by your opponent's card effects, which is really good. But again, it's a level 4 that you can special summon rather easily, and then you can just start like overlaying into your Xyz plays. You can use it for synchro summoning with your Blackwings too. So super cool, really really good synergy with the deck. Next up, my favorite card from the deck back in the day: 3 copies of Blackwing Gail the Whirlwind. So Gail the Whirlwind, level 3, can special summon itself from the hand as long as you control a Blackwing with a different name, and has a really cool effect that it can half the attack and defense of your opponent's monster once per turn, permanently. So if you activate the effect of Gail the Whirlwind on one of your opponent's big monsters, say like a 3k beater, it becomes a 1500 attack monster. And that attack reduction does not go away unless, it's destroyed and then resummoned. So basically they have to get the monster onto their field a second time before it goes away. But just really good a lot of the times for pushing for game, Next up, we got one copy of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. So the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak says, if this card is in attack position, you can target one dark monster on the field who change this card to defense position, and if you do, that monster gains 800 attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. Not what we're going to be using it for. We're actually going to be using it for a second effect, which says, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one the Phantom Knights card from your deck to your hand, except the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. You can only use this effect of Phantom Knights of the Ancient Cloak once per turn. So you're going to be doing this to either search for monsters, or a majority of the time for your spells, for your rank up magic forces and things like that, so that you can take your regular, rank 4 Xyz monster and start, pushing into something like Satellite Falcon, Ultimate Falcon, all that. And, just really good to have, allows you to search for some of your playmakers in the deck. Next up, one copy of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. Silent Boots says, if you control a Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots once per turn this way. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add one the Phantom Knights spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots once per turn. So the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots will get you into some of your extenders and some of your effect negators. So you can use them to search out your Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine, which is a good extender, or you can use them to search out the Phantom Knight's Fogblade, which will, inevitably, be used to stop your opponent dead in their tracks, which is a lot of fun. So really good, has good synergy, and both of those, Ancient Cloak and Silent Boots, are level 3s. However, if you use them with Stained Greaves, they can very easily become level 4s, and you can overlay your Raid Raptors or your Blackwings into something else. Next up, we don't like it when our opponent does things, and we want to prevent them from doing as much as we can, so we're going to be running 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Ash Blossom, arguably the best hand trap in the game. You use it to, whenever your opponent tries to draw from their deck, whenever they're trying to search, you will discard it from your hand into the graveyard, and it'll negate that draw. So just really good to have. You don't want your opponent having options, and if they're looking for options, you want to stop them. and Hash Blossom is great for doing that. Next up, we're going to be running 2 copies of Blackwing Harmattan the Dust. And Harmattan the Dust reads, if you control a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Harmattan the Dust, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Blackwing Harmattan the Dust once per turn this way. When this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one other Blackwing monster you control. Increase this card's level by that monster's. So again, level modulation is really good whenever you're trying to go into Synchro and Xyz plays. Harmattan is not a tuner. So say, for example, you have Oster on your field, but you don't have a Simoon the Poison Wind. You can't go into your full armor master. You can use Harmattan, special summon him, target Oster, and add its levels to this one. So now it's a level 6 instead of a level 2. And then you can synchro using Oster and Harmattan to go into full armor master. Easy peasy. So level modulation, super good. Have to have it. Next up, we have 1 copy of Blackwing Orochi the Squall. Orochi the Squall says, if you control a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Orochi the Squall, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon it once per turn using this effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target one monster on the field, change that target's battle position. If your opponent is trying to set up defenses, you can very easily stop their defenses with this. Or if your opponent has like something with like 0 attack, but a big booty, a big defense, you can use Orochi the Squall to change it into attack position, so that way you get free damage. Comes up from time to time, just a really good thing to have. Earlier, I said that we had Strangle Lanius. I didn't know that we had it at 2. Apparently, we have Raid Raptor Strangle Lanius at 2. So, let's see here. Next up, we have... Sometimes your opponent has monsters with really oppressive effects, and it's really annoying. So, you want 3 copies of Effect Veiler. During your main phase, you can pitch Effect Veiler from your hand to the graveyard to target one monster your opponent controls and negate its effect. Really cool, whenever you have an opponent whose monster is preventing you from getting your plays off, or who has an effect that could potentially interrupt you, interrupt them first. Don't give them the option of stopping you. Okay, so that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So, first up, we're running 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. All of the monsters in this deck are going to be Dark attribute. And Allure of Darkness says, draw 2 cards and then remove from play 1 Dark monster from your hand. If you do not have a Dark monster in your hand to remove, send all cards in your hand to the graveyard. This is a very monster-heavy deck, so you're always going to have at least 1 Dark monster, or you can be sure that if you activate Allure of Darkness, you will draw something dark in that. So, I mean, it's not really much of a gamble. Every now and then it backfires, so, be a little cautious about that. But draw 2 is always good, so definitely do that. Next up, one of my favorite cards in the deck. We are running 2 copies of the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Force. So, the Phantom Knights Rank Up Magic Force will take your Xyz monsters that are a certain rank and push them to higher ranks by banishing monsters from your graveyard. And it's a lot of fun. It's starting off with like something really small, like you get like your rank for Y-Strix, which has like 2400 defense but no attack, and you can rank up Magic Force into something like your Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, or your Raid Raptor Satellite Falcon, or your Ultimate Falcon. Just very easily take a monster whose effect you've already capitalized on and turn it into something more oppressive, more powerful. So really cool. Definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck. A lot of the times, your opponents, whenever you summon your rank 4 Xyz, will be like, okay, well, that's not a problem. But then you rank up Magic Force. And by the way, it's a quick play spell, so you can activate it when they're least expecting it to just create that extra pressure that they can't get around. So really good card. Next up, we have 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. I mentioned Black Whirlwind at the very beginning. Simoon the Poison Wind will search this card out. Black Whirlwind will allow you to grab a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand that has less attack than a Blackwing that you've normal summoned. You always want to see this card. It is one of your main playmakers in the deck because it'll get you your extenders. It'll get you your your other options, your combo pieces, all that. So you want to see this card as frequently as possible. Also, the effect stacks because it's not a once per turn, so you can absolutely play 2 Black Whirlwinds, and like if you normal summon, say, Esamun, the Poison Wind, you can search an Oster, you can search an Orochi, so really good to have. Next up, we have 1 copy of the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. Shade Brigandine is searchable by Silent Boots effect, and basically what it says is special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster. Warrior Dark level 4 with attack 0 and defense 300. This card is not treated as a trap. If you have no traps in your graveyard, you can activate this card the turn it was set. You can only activate 1 Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine once per turn. So you got a level 4 monster that's in the form of a trap, and if you have no traps in your graveyard, which this deck only runs 2 traps, so it's very likely you won't, you can activate Shade Brigandine, and you'll have a free level 4 monster to Xyz or Synchro with. It doesn't have any clause that says that you can't Synchro with it. So, bada bing, bada boom. And lastly, for the last trap, we're running 1 copy of the Phantom Knights Fogblade. A continuous trap, searchable by Silent Boots. It says, activate this card by targeting 1 effect monster on the field, negate that effect monster's effects. That face-up monster cannot attack. Also, monsters cannot target that face-up monster for attacks. When it leaves the field, destroy this card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 the Phantom Knights monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, it's an extender. It's a stun, so your opponent can't do anything with a monster that they have. So really good, if you need time to set up your board, it can stop your opponent in their tracks, or at least one of your opponent's things, prevent you from taking lethal, whatever you need. And then whenever it leaves the field, if it's in your graveyard, which is really easy to get into your graveyard, you can banish it to get yourself another extender. So really good to have. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. And the extra deck here, we're going to be running 1 copy of Blackwing Full Armor Master. Full Armor Master, really, really good card. 3,000 attack, 3,000 defense, level 10 synchro. It says, unaffected by other cards or effects. So already really, really good. Whenever something's unaffected by other cards and effects, just automatically, yes, please. Let's see. Each time an opponent's monster activates its effect, place 1 wedge counter on that opponent's monster, max 1. After that effect resolves once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter, take control of it. Once per turn, during the end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. So, combos with the Oster, because Oster can put wedge counters on everything your opponent controls. And additionally, you can take control of something that your opponent has that has a wedge counter on it, and you don't have to give it back. So, that your opponent has a really strong monster on the field or something that's just blocking you from swinging for game, just take it. What are they going to do? Next up, we have 1 copy of Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawk Joe. Blackwing Tamer Obsidian Hawk Joe is a warrior, 2600 attack, really easy to make. It says you can target 1 level 5 or higher wing beast type monster in your graveyard and special summon it during either player's turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets only this card, or let's see, special summon. Yeah, I got mixed up there. When your opponent targets this card for an attack, you can target 1 other Blackwing monster you control that would be an appropriate target. That card's effect or attack is now targets that target. So basically, you can shift targets from this card that's being targeted by an opponent's effect or attack and move it over to that card. This is one of the effects that I rarely use. I almost never think about doing it. Mostly I use this card to special summon another extender. So, I'm reading it and I was like, this thing has another effect? What? Next up, we have Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. 1 copy. And Ultimate Falcon is really cool. It's another one of those. It's a level 10 Xyz monster, unaffected by other cards' effects. You can detach 1 Xyz material from this card
For the rest of this turn, all monsters your opponent controls will lose 1,000 attack. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated. If this card has a Raid Raptor monster as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn during the end phase, you can make all monsters your opponent controls lose 1,000 attack. If your opponent controls no face-up monsters, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent.
So there's a lot going on here. The cool thing about Ultimate Falcon is that, like Armor Master, he's a big boy. 3,500 attack, 3,000 attack, and both of them unaffected by card effects. So these are arguably the boss monsters of the deck. You want to get into these guys as soon as possible because your opponent will have very little that they can do against them. So a lot of fun there. Raid Raptor Satellite Cannon Falcon has an effect. A lot of the times I just kind of use them as a stepping stone. So don't really think about this. If it's Xyz summoned by using a Raid Raptor monster as material, you can destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this activation. Quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 800 attack for each Raid Raptor monster in your graveyard. So it's a heavy storm. Not a heavy storm, but like a Harpy's Feather Duster on legs. It's got 3,000 attack, so not really all that bad. A lot of the times this deck really steps on the gas, so it does a lot of damage really quick. So I don't allow my opponent a lot of time to set up with back row. So a lot of the times I don't think about this card whenever I'm doing anything. But it's a nice option to have in case your opponent's playing a lot of control. Next up, Arsenal Falcon.
Let's see. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card. Special summon one level 4 Winged Beast monster from your deck. If this card has any number of Raid Raptor monsters as material, it can attack up to that many times during each battle phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, while it has a Raid Raptor monster as material, you can special summon one Raid Raptor monster Xyz from your extra deck, except for Raid Raptor Arsenal Falcon. If you do, attach this card from your graveyard to it as material.
So this is kind of like an easy way to get your Ultimate Falcon onto the field. If this is popped while it has a Raid Raptor monster as material, you just automatically slap your Ultimate Falcon on top of this. It has at least one material to work with. So, super fun. Next up, we have Dark Requiem Xyz Dragon.
Let's see. If it has a Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon as material, it gains these effects. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change it to its attack to 0, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack. When your opponent activates monster effects, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can special summon one Xyz monster from your graveyard.
So really good to have, really good effect, can help you push for game. Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Once per turn, you can detach material and have it gain attack equal to the attack of all monsters on the field. This can get really big really fast. And it's super easy to go into by using your rank up Magic Force. You make your Raider's Knight and then rank up Magic Force, banish one from your graveyard. You got your Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon, and then just go real big, Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon, one copy. You can detach two materials from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls. Its attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. So a lot of attack power modulation here, just to basically help you push for big damage. Next up, Time Thief Redoer. Time Thief Redoer, once per every standby phase, can attach the top card of your opponent's deck to himself as material, which is a lot of fun because not only are you stealing your opponent's things, but then Time Thief Redoer can activate his effect by removing things from himself. Like, say, for example, if you have spells, you can do one thing. If you have monsters, you can attach a monster to banish them from the field once per turn. So it gives you a lot of options, and it really messes with your opponents, particularly because with each phase that with each player's turn, they're losing options off the top of their deck, which is really, really fun. Let's see. Next up, Raiders Knight. Raiders Knight, 1 copy. Raiders Knight says basically, I think it is always treated as a Phantom Knights and a Raid Raptor card. You can detach 1 material from this card to special summon from your deck 1 the Phantom Knights, Raid Raptor, or Xyz Dragon Xyz monster that is 1 rank higher or lower than this card. So by removing 1 thing from this card, you're getting into your Arc Rebellion, you're getting into your Dark Rebellion, etc., etc. Just really useful to have. And you can also, I think there's a couple of the Raid Raptor Xyz monsters that work off of this, so just really good. Let's see. Raid Raptor 4 Strix allows you to special summon a, what's it called? Winged Beast monster. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, add 1 level 4 Darkwing Beast monster from your deck to your hand. So it's a searcher. It's a 2000 attack, 2000 defense booty. So, it's one of your combo pieces. Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche. Rusty Bardiche has some effects based on Xyz monsters being summoned to his link arrows. He's allowed to pop something on the field. He's allowed to, I think, send something from the deck to the graveyard that is a Phantom Knights card. Spell trap directly from your deck to the graveyard. Yep, there it is. So it sets you up for a lot of different plays. You can put your Fog Blade into the graveyard. You can, actually, I think you can set it onto the field also. So from your deck. Yeah, set 1 Phantom Knight's spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field. So you can set your Shade Brigandine, you can set your Fog Blade, you can set your rank up Magic Force. So really fun. And lastly, Raid Raptor Wise Strix. Link monster says if this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 Dark Winged Beast monster from your deck in defense position, but negate its effects. Also, it cannot be used as link material. It doesn't stop it from being used as synchro or Xyz material. So, just really good to have. But, anyways, that is all for the deck, guys. It's a fun deck to play. Gives you a lot of... And the ceiling on it varies, I think, depending on, your level of experience with it. Because there's a lot of times when I feel like I've reached the limit as to what this deck can do, but then I figure out a new combo that just makes it a lot more fun, a lot more crazy. There's a lot of attack modulation. There's level modulation. You can use link monsters. You can use synchros. You can use Xyz. So I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this. But I will stop talking now because I feel like I've been talking for an hour, and allow Dareinger to criticize me here.
Overall, it was a pretty standard Blackwing deck, I think. Putting in the Raid Raptors and putting in the Phantom Knight stuff, I could see that helping with the consistency of the deck. The only thing I saw in the extra deck is, did you say you're running No Thug in the extra deck?
No, I'm not running No Thug.
Because that's one that I know it burns for 800 and it gives you an extra normal summon.
Really?
Yes. Blackwing, No Thung the Starlight. Whenever it's special summoned, you inflict 800 damage to your opponent, then target 1 face-up monster they control. It loses 800 attack and defense. And then once per turn during the main phase, you can normal summon 1 Blackwing monster in addition to your normal summon.
Okay, so that has good synergy with Black Whirlwind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Stormy's roommate actually is a Blackwing veteran that's playing the deck for years and years and years, and I believe he plays 1 or 2 No Thung. Just because it's easy to make, it's a level 6, and he gets that extra normal summon off of it.
One thing I did want to mention is I just realized that a couple of the cards that I have in the extra deck are presently in other decks right now because I just shuffle the one-ofs that I have between extra decks as needed. I do run a Borreload Savage Dragon in this. I can't remember what else I do. But yeah, I put Borreload Savage Dragon in here. It's generic. It's a negate up to the number of links that are attached to it. And with the link monsters here, I think you can get up to 3 with Rusty Bardiche. Yeah, 3. So it's it's a good time.
It's unfortunate that they still don't have their own link monster and they have to use the Raid Raptor link, but what are you gonna do?
What are we talking about? Blackwings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have what is it? Raid Raptor Y Strix, and then Bardiche.
Yeah. But yeah, like the dark monsters have a lot of synergy with each other. And what's it called? Raid Raptors, a lot of the times, either work off of dark or winged beasts, which the Blackwings are. And just Phantom Knights just work well with Raid Raptors. They're basically the same archetype. So it's a lot of fun. It's, how would I explain it? It's like 3 of your favorite horror narrators doing a collab. But they also, on top of being really good at what they do, they also happen to be great friends. That's exactly what this deck is.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, Raid Raptors and Phantom Knights actually go pretty well within the deck. So it's one of those decks that I don't mind mixing things around with. Most decks I like to keep them pure, but
The same.
Your build of it is pretty good, so
Thanks.
I'll allow
it. It never does exceptionally well when taken to locals, but it also doesn't do poorly. So
yeah,
so it's fun to use, and definitely for like whenever you have the homies over and you need to just get a game in. Blackwings are that what do you call it? That archetype that doesn't seem like it's dangerous or particularly strong, but if left unchecked, it can swarm you really easily.
Yeah, you get the you get that full armor master staring you down, and you realize that you kind of messed up somewhere.
Yeah. And it's super easy to go into him turn 1. I mean, like it's like I'll usually end the board with like some combination of like full armor master and Rusty Bardiche, and maybe a Time Thief Redoer. It's a lot more complicated to go full armor master and ultimate Falcon. Maybe I'm just like not doing my combos correctly, but it's very rare that I'll end up there. The bard is dropping knowledge here, and I'm like, I barely just learned how to pendulum summon. Yeah. But pendulum summons are fun. It's one of my favorite types of monsters, honestly. I didn't think I would like them whenever I got back into the game, but when when you use a pendulum archetype that just clicks with you, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've got 3 pendulum decks actually sitting in front of me right now.
Oh yeah.
I have Endymion, I have Pendulum Magicians, and then I have Performapals.
Performapals I thought looked kind of silly up until they started wrecking me. I was like, oh god, these things are crazy.
Well, just imagine playing back when they had all of their stuff, like the Pepe format.
Yeah.
Where it lasted a full 2 weeks before Konami was like, yeah, we have to do something about this. It's a little too good.
One of these days, in Time Wizard format, they will say Pepe, and I will play.
I hope that becomes a Time Wizard format. Just, you gotta summon out your plush fire with your monkey board and then watch as your opponent just cries.
Yeah, that would that's gonna be crazy. I'm excited for Time Wizard for sure. For all the right reasons. Not because I want to play Sky Striker, mobilize, engage at 3, but
You want to go back to that toss format.
I mean,
Thunder Dragons and Salad and Strikers and Orcus.
Yeah. But it's just, mobilize, engage is so good at 1 that I'm like, imagine what you could do at 3. I mean, I'm happy with 1, don't get me wrong. And, they're getting new support, but I'm like, I want to know what you could do with 3,
Just imagine being able to draw every single card you could ever want. That's what it's like having engage at 3.
That's exciting. That's very exciting.
It's just like I'm going to continuously loop these 3 cards.
Like some of my favorite decks include loops of some variety.
Gamma, I get afraid whenever my opponent starts counting at all.
Yeah, like literally. Like if your opponent's counting, you're like, there's something he's doing and I don't know what it is. And I want to know.
If he gets up to 5, then you just like, no, dude, just keep the Nibiru in your hand.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Exactly. Nibiru is exactly what I was thinking about. Like, if you see them counting your summons, stop summoning. But then again, a lot of people do it as a fake out too. Like they'll start being like 1, 2, 3, and they don't have anything in hand. They just know you're scared of the Nibiru.
Well, it gets to the point where it's like they get to 4 and you're like, okay, 5 is going to be Apollosa, I guess.
True.
And then you're just like, oh, I don't really know where to go from here, so 4 material Apollosa pass, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apollosa is crazy too, man. It's one of those cards that it's like, it's nice when you have it, when your opponent has it, now you have to think hard. I'm like, I just want to unga bunga this turn. Why did you make me have to think?
Why do I have to count? Why do you make me have to count?
And Apollosa is also one of those that's like, hey, once per chain, and I'm like, stop. Why do you do this?
That was a judge call I had one time. Was a guy was trying to activate Apollosa twice in a single chain. I was like, read the card, please.
Yeah. Gamma says, can they get away with a fake out in a tournament? I would say like not explicitly. Like, if they're explicitly being facetious, that's a no. But like if you're playing mind games and your opponent just kind of assumes the worst, that's you can get away with that.
There's no rule about counting out loud whenever your opponent's summoning. If you do that, though, there's also a high chance that you're going to get a judge call.
Right.
Because people are going to be like, yeah, that's just kind of scumbaggy.
Right.
Even though, like, technically you're not doing anything wrong because it's not public. What's in your hand is not public knowledge. So, I mean, you could have a Nibiru. You could just be counting to keep track of how many cards your opponent's used.
That is true. I didn't think about that. But
it's probably just safe to say don't do it.
Right. Like, count in your head, kiddos. I only have 4 fingers in my head, though, so, I mean, it's like, once we reach 4, I can't count any higher.
It's like, count in your head, or even better yet, while your opponent is doing their turn, read your cards. That way you know what your cards actually do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You won't believe how many times I've seen people try to activate Effect Veiler on their opponent's turn. I'm like, during your main phase.
just
That-
gonna casually activate this card that says during the battle phase, but I'm gonna activate it in my main phase. So
Yeah, like they're trying to use it as imperm, and I'm like, no, doesn't work like that.
or if it says you can activate this in your main phase or any phase except for the damage step or something, and it's just like during damage step, it's like it literally says no.
It literally says except the damage step.
You just ignored all of the important words on that card.
Now, here's something I have to ask you, because except the damage step wasn't something that was very prevalent whenever I first got out of the game and before I got back in. When I got back in, I noticed that it was almost in every effect. I assume there's a reason why that became standard practice.
The damage step is very, very complicated. There are 4 stages to battle, and long story short, there's a lot of cards that deal with like 1 or 2 phases in the damage step. So cards were printed to say don't do it in the damage step because it made things very difficult to keep track of as far as like ruling point of view goes.
I'm guilty of having to read my cards even on MTG. I especially have to read my cards on MTG. I feel like if I haven't read the card at least 6 times while I'm waiting for my opponent to finish their turn, I don't know what it does. That's not for every card. Some cards are more complicated than others. But like some cards are so ridiculously complex that I'm like, I have to really understand. And here's the thing in Magic is I love how they have keywords. I think keywords are great. I kind of wish that this is kind of like a little selfish thing on me, just because I can't be bothered to read, but I get instants and sorceries mixed up all the time. I almost wish that instants had like the quick effect symbol.
Yeah.
But
well, like something I kind of wish that Yu-Gi-Oh would do something like Magic and have the you just said the word and I can't think of it now.
Keywords.
Like the keywords.
Yes.
Where we kind of have got some keywords like
piercing,
inflict piercing damage,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But like Magic, if it has a keyword, it'll do like a quick little. This is what this means.
Yeah, it does that sometimes. I feel like a lot of the times whenever the keyword hasn't been used in like several sets, they'll do that.
But with Yu-Gi-Oh, I mean, that gets a little difficult because Magic cards, their effects are things like this card gets trample, this card gets haste, where Yu-Gi-Oh is if you control X amount of cards and you have X amount of back row, flip this card face up, and then if you do that, you get to inflict damage to your opponent equal to 500 times the amount of cards in your deck minus 16. It's like you can't do keywords and then have that kind of an effect. Because you'll just run out of space on your card eventually.
I guess so. I mean, like you could do like what Rush Duel does. Like where they're like, oh, each effect has like its own line where it's like conditions, your opponent has this many cards face up, effect, do this. I'm like, I kind of like that. I mean, goodness knows, like we just saw my deck profile and I had to like stop and read some of them because I'm like, I forget what they all do. And it's kind of hard to like find out at a glance.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine too for like a simpler game state like Rush Duels.
Right.
But if you get Endymion the Mighty Masterful Magician, try to like find room on that card to like put keywords in to like explain what it does.
Because the problem with that one is that it does so much, you know. So it's like a few lines you could do a keyword, you know, like this card does X, but then like with the really specific effect, then you have to kind of like write it out.
Yeah, and that's where like keywords would be great in Yu-Gi-Oh, but at the same time, it's like
the game's weird.
The cards do so much, and you don't have that much room to like write everything out on them.
Right. But you know, it is what it is. I mean, like it's at the end of the day, it's a different game from Magic, you know. So it makes sense that they do things differently because the effects don't play out the same. Like when playing Magic, every now and then, me and my friends will swap keywords that we use. Like, so for example, you know, like I'll be playing one of my live twins, you know, and I'll be like, okay, I summon live twin Kisakil, ETB effect, I special summon a live twin Leela, you know. And I also have like I'll do like for example, we're playing Magic, and I'll be like, okay, so I attack here, and I'll inflict piercing battle damage here, and you know we all understand what they mean, but but so like there is a little crossover, but I don't know, like there is enough difference in the games to where it can't be a one-for-one translation on all things. Endymion, Masterful Magician. Yeah. Definitely Google search that one, Brother Gamma. Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic, has for a long time been the meme for how Yu-Gi-Oh cards do so much. It's got two effects boxes, one for its pendulum effect and one for its monster effect, and both of them are extremely thick. I mean, they are thick text boxes.
It is, I believe, the card with the most text on it in the game.
Yeah, because I love how Team APS did it, where you know, like one of them is reading the card, and he says, "Wow, all that text, and I still don't know what it does." And the other guy's like, "Everything."
Well, that's Endymion is like one of my favorite decks to play, but it's just there's so much, and if you're playing it, Endymion is one of those decks that you can't like play it straight out of the box. You have to like sit down and like take time to read the cards and like learn what they do before you can even attempt to play it, because each card has like a college thesis for its card effect.
Yeah, that's one of those big brain one of those big brain decks where it's like you will need to play test this to death before you take it anywhere. A lot of the times when I'm playing decks like that, I will sit and fight AIs on EDO Pro until I learn the combos, because I'm like, I'm gonna forget, you know, a lot of these effects.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't have that much memory, you know. So
if you want some free content, though, you can just like do a video where you read off all of the effects of all the Endymion cards.
God help me. Like Endymion in general, like anytime you have an Endymion card, it is gonna require some homework for you to understand. What is it? One of my friends plays Majestus, and Majestus has an Endymion in it. And by far, it is the simplest Endymion of all the Endymions. But the deck still somehow does everything. You know, it's crazy.
And that's, what is the Magistus card that they have? It's like Endymion the Master Magician or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, all of the Endymion cards, like Servant has it has 2-card text. Reflection has 2-card text. Magister has 2, and you're not only playing those, it's a pendulum deck, so you're playing like mystical Jackal King and mythic Cerberus, and it's just so much to read.
Yeah.
But the deck does so much.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a complicated game, but like every now and then, I mean, like there is archetypes and there is cards that require so much effort to understand to their full potential that it's just kind of it will require some effort, to get good at it. One thing that I have to say is, a lot of the times people kind of, I see people hating on others for having to use things like EDO Pro. They're like, you use Dueling Book. EDO Pro holds your hand. And I'm like, sometimes you need that. Sometimes it's necessary for something to tell you, hey, by the way, this is possible at this point. Because otherwise, if you're just like trying to like big brain it, you wouldn't catch it on the first try or even the second. Sometimes not even on the third. So, like, yeah, a lot of the times, like, if a deck is particularly complicated, I will sit on EDO Pro and just run games on it again and again and again, letting it tell me, hey, would you like to change something, and showing me what's possible, so that I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see it, because I'm not gonna sit here and understand all of it on my own. Like, but if something walks me through it, I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, and that's with like the more complicated cards like pendulums and stuff. It helps to have something that can be like, hey, you can activate this effect to search for your card, and you're like, oh, okay, I would have missed that if I was just playing on like Dueling Book or something.
Exactly. Or like, God forbid, on tabletop. Like, yeah. I put this deck together, didn't read any of the cards, and now I'm gonna go to locals and see if I can figure it out.
I'm guilty of that so often.
Yeah, same.
But it's one of the things that like really gets under my skin, especially if like the person has a deck that is just like I don't know if you've like seen the Time Lord cards, but like someone brings in like Time Lords or Flower Guardians, and they sit and they're reading all of the effects, and it's like, please read your cards and learn how to play the deck before you bring something like that.
Yeah. I 100%, because like it's kind of frustrating, especially because you can easily blame someone of slow playing when in reality all they're trying to do is understand.
Yeah.
Because I gotta tell you, I found myself guilty of that too. Because the other day I was trying to show one of my friends. He was putting a deck together, and I was showing him how it plays. And what I did is I took him to YouTube, and I was like, let me show you a few like combo videos. A couple of people have put this deck together, so I'm sure we can find a couple of combo videos for you to kind of get an idea of what it does. And one of the videos, the deck that he was trying to build is going up against Live Twins. And the thing is, I thought I was playing Live Twins right, but then I was seeing some combos that I was like, that never occurred to me. Holy crap. I'm like, have I been playing Live Twins wrong this entire time? So it happens to everyone.
Yeah, that's you can't blame people for not like knowing how to play their deck.
Yeah, I mean,
optimally.
You make an effort, obviously, but like every now and then something will fly under your radar, and you just won't realize it unless somebody walks you through it.
That's why I like playing decks like Flower Guardians is like the go-to in this situation, where it's just playing a deck where every single card is just a thesis statement on like how life is supposed to be. It gets a little frustrating having your opponent sit and read every card, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, they're learning. So
yeah, I built Flower Guardians because I like samurai themed things, and the Flower Guardians, their boss monsters are flower themed, like Light Shower, are samurai themed, like Light Shower and Light Flare. So I was like, yeah, this will be cool. I'm sure I can figure it out. So, and on top of that, they're very cheap because nobody plays them. And,
yeah.
The website where I get them from, it was like, hey, buy one, get two for free on all of them. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I can get a play set of each of them for for like pennies on the dollar. That's great. So I just got like the whole deck. And as I'm putting it together, thinking to myself, this will be a breeze. I just got to learn it. I was like, oh, I should have stopped to read these.
Just, you have to normal summon Pine, and you special summon Peony with Butterfly, and then you special summon Willow, and then you special summon Zebra Grass, and then you link, or you synchro into the light shower, and then you gotta bring back your Willow, and then go to Cardian Calligrapher with Willow, and it's just at some point you look at your opponent and you hope that they don't actually question if you know what you're doing. It's just I'm just sitting here putting a card down on the field, drawing one and showing you that is a Flower Guardian, and I'm hoping to God that you don't call me out on my bullshit that I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm right there. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so like when I do this, it turns all of my monsters into level 2s, and one of them's a synchro, so I'm going to use all of them to synchro into this other one, but then I play this card, and if I show you a Flower Guardian, I get special summon another one from my hand, and the entire time I'm like, please don't play into any interruptions, because I don't know if I can recover. I'm too deep.
It's just you get your light flare out, you get your light shower out, and like right before you're able to get your board fly, they're just like, "Oh, I have a Nibiru in my hand."
Yeah,
and then you just kind of sit there and look at your board. You just scoop your deck up, and then you go home.
Basically, it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. You know, like somebody hits you with the Nibiru, or they hit you with like Droll and Lockbird, and you're just like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, but like the Flower Guardians, it's by far one of my favorite decks that I own.
Yeah, same. I like it a lot. I don't play it anywhere where it's like you need to do well, because it's like, I promise you I will not. Oh, God. Alrighty, we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes. I think it's time we call it a day. Thank you, everybody, for showing up to the Nevermore Nerds Podcast. I want to thank Dexter, who was here, Helix, who was here, Brother Gamma, who was here, and welcome Derek Weber Scary Stories, who stopped by to say hello briefly. Hopefully, you're still there. And Fearsome Hero, who was here. And, yeah, we will see you again next week, hopefully. Do you want to say bye to the people there? Alrighty, have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you later.